Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday I'm up on the roof. See you in a minute. Now, for those of you that follow my Instagram feeds, you'll know that I'm the last person alive that ought to be going up a ladder, and in fact probably won't be alive for much longer if I carry on the way I normally do. I seem to have this aversion to being safe on ladders, and even though I know it's going to go wrong and I can see it's going to go wrong, I still tend to carry on doing what I'm doing. So this week I've got to get up on our conservatory roof and try and stop a leak. So what could possibly go wrong? Me up a ladder on a glass roof. Let's have a look and see what the problem is. So here's the problem. Whenever we get any rain at the moment, the double glazed units in the conservatory are leaking onto the floor. It's a problem I've had before, and it's not a massive issue. It's due to the fact that the double glazed units tend to slide down the slope of the roof despite being trapped between a glazing bar, metal glazing bar with rubber lining on it and a rubber underlayer. And certainly the larger ones on the one side are much heavier and have had quite a lot of problems like that in the past, which I've solved and cured. So the only real way around it is to get up on the roof, up the ladder, and have a look. And then while I'm up there, the roof itself wants a clean. It's got moss and algae up on top of it that's cutting out the light, and it makes it look a bit rough anyway. I will need to get some replacement units because some of them have blown anyway, but that will have to come in time. And all I generally tend to do is get a couple of window boards which were left over from the conservatory build. I think I did it about 20 years ago, and I use those as sort of crawling boards across the glazing bars, which will take the weight through into the joists underneath and spread some of the load a bit. I built the conservatory, as I say, about 20 years ago. It was a kit of parts that you got from Wicks, and these are okay. What I've done is hacked a great big chunk out of it where it wraps around the house, and put a box gutter in against the house so that it'll fit in a fairly small area that we'd got left over after I'd put an extension on the back of the house, and it's just made a useful extra room. And all I do is just flip the caps off, unscrew the screws. I put stainless steel screws in, so it's been relatively easy to do every time. And then you can just joggle the unit from underneath, from the bottom edge, and push it back up underneath the cover strip at the top. It's something, as I say, that I've had a lot of times I've had to do it on the one side, and in fact I've started to put little stop underneath the double glazed unit at the bottom to stop it sliding down on the other side. This is the first time I've had the problem on the inner side, partly because the units are lighter and partly because it doesn't get so much sun on it to expand things. I think they just creep down as things expand. It opens up the trapping of the double glaze unit between the glazing bar and the joist underneath, and then they just, over time, they just gradually creep down. So it's a fairly quick and easy fix, but it's just a bit awkward to get at, and as time goes by it's going to get to the point where I won't be able to do it at all, I suspect. Now, I'd got what I thought was a similar problem at the other end, but that's turned out to be a slightly different issue. But then, of course, on the way around I caught the edge of the UPVC fascia, which we put up when we extended the house many years ago, when we hadn't got a lot of money, and it was done with not probably the right materials. So I know that underneath that lot is a bit of a rat's nest of original timbers, some of which have gone a bit rotten. So I'm going to need to get up, replace all that fascia and the timber underneath it, and repoint the verges as well. And probably at the same time I'll just replace the guttering as a matter of course. And then it's on to the other unit, which turned out to be more than I expected of a problem. On this one, the entire unit's broken down. You can see the air gap between the two has been exposed, and it's just the cavities full of the rubbish that's come down that way. So I'm not going to be able to do a lot with that one, I don't think. It's going to need a new unit complete. So once that was done, I did the best job I could getting it back into place, and I've had to put a bit of flash band at the top subsequent to this video just to seal that gap up. I will try and get a new replacement unit for that one and a couple of the others that have blown. But that's solved that problem. Next issue was the potential of the gutter itself getting blocked up. We get a lot of moss off the main roof, and they fall down onto the conservatory roof and then wash down into that gutter. And because the outlet is at the far end against the house, and it goes down inside a boxing and under the floor, there's always the potential that that can get full of this moss and make a much bigger problem if it backs up and overflows. So I had to get the buckets and the mops and things and get all that ready to get the roof clean and to clean out that moss from the gutter. Again, I can sometimes get at it from the next door neighbour's side access, but in this instance I decided to go at it from underneath. What it really needs is probably to get up onto the main roof and get rid of all the moss that's up there that's then rolling down the roof onto this one, but until I can get some decent scaffolding up there, my days of climbing up ladders and tower scaffolds to that sort of height are probably best behind me. You tend to find that your reflexes have gone a bit and you're not quite as strong as you were. So we then cleared out all the bits of stuff from the gutter, brushed all the cobwebs and rubbish off the roof, and had a go at it with, I've got an old towel wrapped around a pole that I use a decorator's pole for using a roller on the end of, but in this instance it's proved to be useful as an extendable pole just to clean the roof with. Usually have to get and do this about twice a year, once every 2 years I mean, because it starts to cut out light in the conservatory and it looks a bit rubbish from underneath. But as I say, probably 20 years on, the original conservatory as it came had polycarbonate twin wall on the roof, and I didn't really want that, so I had all these panels made up, and the problem is they are extremely heavy anyway, so if I have to replace any of them now, it's going to need somebody to give me a hand, I think, because they are pretty hard to actually lift. Once those were done, I just got the hose out and washed it all down, which also checked for leaks at the same time, and cleaned it all up as best we could. Gave the gutters a clean out at the same time I was up there, and after that just packed everything up, put it away, lived to fight another day. Right, well, as ever with any jobs I tend to do, you find that it unearths a whole load of new work for you. It looks like I've got probably a big task on next year to scaffold the house and get all the fascias and gutters and that replaced, and the double glazed units themselves, there's several of those need replacing as well, so I'm just off to go and see if I can find whether or not they can do anything with the glass. I suspect as it's got cloudy and messed up inside, even if they split them apart, you can't clean the glass that well, but we'll have a look and see. Otherwise it looks like we're in for a big bill for new glass for the roof. Never mind, we'll see you next week. I hope we'll be doing something different, and I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.